Today we're going to be going back and having a look at the DC Collectibles DC Comics Super Villains. This is Black Manta. I figured with the pending release of the Aquaman trailer, I think it's going to be hitting around SDCC time, figured we would go back and have a look at one of my all-time favorite villains, then that would be Black Manta, and also having a look at one of my all-time favorite figures as well. Let's grab the tape measure to figure out how tall Black Manta stands, and I'm putting it right to the top of his domed helmet. The figure is 7 inches in height. He comes with 3 accessories. Sorry, what? No, yeah, I know, it's only 1 accessory. Trust me, he has 3 accessories. The largest of the 3 we'll look at just now, and it's this sort of trident claw in which the character can hold. I don't know if it's supposed to fire anything between the prongs, but for the time being I'll just call it like a claw dagger. It is nicely sculpted. I like how it's got a slightly beveled edge to it. It is cast in what looks to be silver plastic. I know it looks silver, but I think it's been cast in plastic in the silver color variety rather than being painted in silver. It can be held in his hands, technically both hands, but it doesn't sit very well. You may have to sometimes sit it on an angle for it to sit properly. It does droop awfully a lot, and you can get the same effect. If I get it out of his hand now, he won't let it go. You get the same effect, though, putting it into his other hand. On the other hand, just drop the figure. On the other hand, there he is right there. We'll put it in his other hand. On the other hand, I gotta get myself a t-shirt that says that. On the other hand. On the other hand, it does fit into this hand, I guess a little bit more stable than this hand right here. What you can also do, too, is you can flip it around, and that will fit onto his back. I think it actually fits this way here. There we go. And it slots in between these 2 prongs. One there and one there. And it does a pretty good job. I mean, it doesn't guarantee you a completely stable fixture, but at the very least it has a place where you can display that, or non-displayed, I guess, put it on his back when you don't want to have him displayed with it. The other thing he comes with, because I did say 2 accessories, he has one right there, and he has a second one right there. It comes with 2 side daggers. These are rather on the, not sharp side, but they are a little on the pricky side. And you can go ahead and fit those into his hands as well. Surprisingly, the daggers, or the smaller blades here, fit better, actually, than the claw here does, with a little small trident. I don't know if you saw that, but I just literally pricked myself with the edge here of this bird, slightly bird tip here. It literally just pierced my skin right there. So it is a little on the sharp side. Unfortunately, though, these have warped. These have warped over the course of time of me having these just simply sitting in the slots on the top here. I guess by the nature of the way that you're putting them in slightly on an edge, on an angle. So it's probably possible, guaranteed, these will warp as you put them in. And if you leave them for long periods of time, yeah, they probably will have a slightly curved blade to them. I'm not liking the fact of how sharp that was. I just want to, again, stress it. It's not sharp. It's not to the point where it's going to slice your finger open. But it just hit the right area of my finger. Ooh, owie, owie. It hit me right on the edge of that, right on the best possible place it could hit me. It is a little on the prickly side. Don't worry, I will survive. So having a look at this figure, like I said, this is one of my all-time favorite Black Manta figures, and it's really hard to come up with an all-time favorite Black Manta figure because I love his design so much. I think probably at the time that you're watching this review, I have probably 4 different Black Mantas. One from DC Universe, one from the, I think it was called Throne of Atlantis, which was a DC animated feature. I have the figure from that. DC Super Friends, which also came with an Aquaman, and of course this one right here. One of these days I maybe do a review of all of them, just showing you off my Black Manta collection, because he is within my top 5 favorite villains of all time. He literally is like right up there. So I am very stoked to see how he's going to look in the new Aquaman movie. Even though he's not supposedly the main bad guy, it's going to be exciting to see him at least be in the movie. Okay, so let's have a look at the figure itself as what you would probably expect Black Manta to have. Yes, he does have a very giant domed helmet with the very large bug eyes. Love the fact that in the Super Friends cartoon, I think he actually had like a little submarine that looked similar to this. The helmet is a very nicely painted silver domed helmet, and it's got some nice black panel lining running through it. The beehive front eyes here, as best as I could describe it, because the texture does kind of remind me of a beehive or honeycomb. There's no additional shading on the interior, however there is a darker red that's around the outer area. Just kind of gives it a little bit extra depth. As for the rest of his body is primarily just black. There's no additional coloring or anything happening to it. However, it does get its fair share of some additional panel lining. And even though maybe on face value it does look like it's a slightly different shade of black, it actually comes closer to looking like this collar area here. So perhaps that is a little bit of an off color. Here, and here gets that. It does look like though for the rest of his body he doesn't have that. However, his lower shin guards also get some much afforded additional paint via this really nice shiny, almost blue-based black. He also has some silver also on his gauntlet, which does look nice. There's not really anything that you can do with it, but it does show well, and it's got some additional kind of dry brushed aging added to there around the edged areas there. Like I said, it's a really, really nice figure. Unfortunately, though, it trades off being that these are the DC Direct line or DC Collectibles line. While proportionately he looks awesome, he doesn't have, unfortunately, the leg hinges. You can't bring the legs out any further than what they're doing right now. Instead, you can only bring the legs back and forth, which is the sad trade-off. DC Collectibles produces some of the best figures from the DC variety. It's unfortunate, though, that a lot of the older figures, and even figures to this day, still have relegated themselves to having only this hinge back and forth. That's really all you can do with it. Looking at his posability, by the way, his head rotates back and forth. I may have said this at the time that I did the initial review of this guy, which I think was actually back in 2013, if I'm not mistaken. I have said it, I think I said it back then too, but if you rotate the head back and forth, you have to be very mindful that you don't accidentally pull and tug the hoses too much on the breathing apparatus, that you accidentally break them. They wouldn't probably break here, but they would most likely break probably where it attaches to the helmet, so just FYI. The head unfortunately does not hinge up and down, only swivels back and forth. The arms hinge outward, so at the very least you do get that functionality. They rotate all the way around. There's a swivel on the bicep, a hinge on the elbow, and a swivel in the hand. This is unfortunately where it suffers a bit, because he only has, like I said, the relegation of having his legs moving back and forth, and the bend at the knee. That's all you're really going to get. I think relegation is not a word, by the way. So again, with this particular figure, its biggest flaw, if anything, is not the sculpt, is not the paint. It's just for the fact that he is so limited when it comes to his lower posability here. Do you have a figure in your collection that anytime you look at it, it reminds you of where you were in your life when you bought it? This is a case here with Black Manta. Not only is it one of my favorite supervillains, not only is this one of my favorite figures, but it also reminds me of a time that I was living on my own and I had my own apartment, and I had a nearby comic book store that I didn't go to very often. It may have only been a handful of times. It was small, it didn't really have a big selection of things, but every once in a while it would have a selection of figures. And this is where I found the DC Super Villains line from the folks over at DC Collectibles. Black Manta I first spotted in that store and I immediately picked him up. In fact, I may have only had cash available on me to get either a lunch or to get this figure. And as you probably know by the way that we're looking at this figure a second go around, I didn't end up buying lunch that day. But what I did walk away with, though, is a fantastic rendition of one of Aquaman's greatest villains, Black Manta here. He's got a really nice look to him. Very form-fitted, very slender-looking build to him. Unfortunately, the only trade-off with having such a great sculpt on him and coming from DC Collectibles is he's very limited when you can pose him in his legs. If you could only spread the legs on a further angle than what you're currently doing right now, this figure would be 100% A+ pick him up. I would still say pick him up, but unfortunately he just is a little bit more limited with what you can do with the lower legs. I still love the design of him, and it would be hard pressed for me to decide which is my all-time favorite Black Manta, but this guy may be at the very top of that list. Speaking of which, though, I would love to maybe go back and have a look at some of my other favorite Black Manta figures. I really only have 4 of them, possibly even 5, but maybe we'll do those in some future videos. In the meantime, like I said, today we were having a look at the DC Collectibles. This was the DC Supervillains Black Manta figure, and I thought it was perfect time again to have a look at him with the pending release, and I'm super excited for that, of Aquaman at the SDCC, which should be coming up probably, I think, next week, if I'm looking at my calendar correctly. If you guys haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, make sure you do so. Many more videos will be coming soon to this channel. And hey now, you can also hit that bell notification, which I know so many people are saying on a regular basis. But unfortunately, that's the only way that video content creators like myself can get a lot of their videos seen by you guys. Hit that bell notification down below and set your preferences so that all new videos coming to this channel, you guys will get email notifications of. More videos will be coming your way, guys, so stay tuned for that. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.